Hello there, you, the viewer. Have you ever woken up one morning and it was in the midst of a beautiful spring day? You leap out of your bed with joy, ripping open your curtains to reveal a beautiful, beautiful landscape filled with butterflies, flowers, fresh air from trees, and overall clear skies that would make Kim Jong-un upset because it's not filled with the smog of communism. Have you looked at the natural beauty of the world and thought to yourself, wow, this really sucks? I wish that by some miracle, some form of problem none of the governments in the world are equipped to handle completely decimates the world, rendering it into a completely unlivable hellscape. Well, I've got just the game for you. Punishing Grey Raven is a world where a form of supervirus capable of infecting both technological creatures and biological creatures wreak havoc upon the world. It comes from this special form of Kool-Aid called the Red Tide, and by no stretch of the imagination should any other race of people aside from the diabetics should be consuming such a liquid. The Red Kool-Aid Death Edition hit the world harder than a Tsar bomb hitting a small, underdeveloped third world country. The Red Tide is capable of rendering mere mortals to mounds of discombobulated flesh, turning your toaster into a killing machine that will throw itself into your filled bathtub while you're still in it, and making your Ring camera turn on you, informing you that someone is there at the front door when they are not, just so that it may mildly inconvenience you or wreak havoc on your schizophrenia. But that's not all. The Red Tide is also responsible for collecting copious amounts of genetic DNA and technological assets in order to simulate approximately sextillion pounds of gender fluid. The Red Tide had the opportunity to create hundreds, perhaps even thousands of different genders, but instead they created hetero creatures. This is apparently how the straight community rises against multi-gendered propaganda. Now, you may be wondering, well, Shu, how is it that we're supposed to defend ourselves against an army of heterosexuals wielding the power of every ounce of gender fluid known to man? Well, this is the part where we assemble a team of depressed teenagers, depressed homosexuals, and people who amass an IQ of simply 2 to combat a super intelligent viral intensity infection who's hell-bent on destroying the world. This group of robotic avengers are simply known as constructs, with most of them coming from a place called Babylonia. Constructs used to be people that was transformed into better people through the art of technology. After undergoing their transformation, their entire body is turned into the equivalent of a Walmart mannequin with fancy spray paint and fancy clothes. They essentially turn into the androids from Detroit Become Human, but the only difference is their brains are mostly intact with minor upgrades here and there. What are these upgrades, you may ask? Well, it was a little thing called the mind. But Rigashu, don't we all have minds already? Well, yes, but this is a better, different mind. Some of them are also installed with a Womb Force 9000, as well as bionic testicles made for maximum rope shooting efficiency. The mind is a mental scape for constructs to compile a variety of things like mundane information, shitty memories, and stupid personalities, as well as mass-produced Babylonian propaganda. Now, you may be wondering, what the hell is Babylonian propaganda? Well, I'm glad you asked. Babylonia is one of humanity's last hope. It is a space station located above the ball of shit that is currently known as the Earth. And to be quite honest, it looks more like the Justice Tower than whatever the hell a Babylonia is, so that's what we will be calling it from now on. Babylonia, or the Justice Tower, is run by a variety of homies, assholes, and strange pink-haired women who want to touch you. Now, where do you fit into all this? Well, you play from the perspective of someone called the Commandant, a leader for a group of ragtag individuals called the Grey Ravens, where you will be commanding a main character who dies almost as much as Goku does, a man who can never seem to navigate from point A to point B, all he had to do was cross the street, and a depressed girl who's so shy and sad that 3 Days Grace albums will start bleeding when around her. And if you thought you were just going to have it easy and become a floating camera simply witnessing the horrors unfold before you, no, you are going to be diving headfirst into said problems. But don't worry, you won't get nearly as ass blasted as hard as the commander from Nikkei. I don't think there is any gacha main character who has it worse than the commander from Nikkei, God rest his soul. Now, just like in my Arknight's guide, I mentioned that there are a variety of different cultures and forms of government. Well, the same can be said about the world of Punishing Grey Raven. There are a variety of regions peppered with refugee camps, as well as some well-hidden cities that are filled with people who act just as bad as the Ascendants. You will be traveling around with your special needs crew and stare in awe as their autism shines in ways you never thought possible. You may not be able to fix all the problems in the world, but you fix enough. Oh, and also, that was a complete lie. Your constructs can mess things up so bad that you need a super autistic girl to travel through time and space in order to fix your mistakes, thus birthing one of the hardest bosses in all of Gacha. Now, don't worry, your constructs aren't completely useless sacks of slug slime. There are a variety of ways that you can make them stronger. Going into taking care of your spectrum-landed robotic autists, there are a variety of things you can do in order to assist them in keeping a healthy mental state. Why is this important? Well, just like in Nikkei, you want your constructs to feel as human as possible. After all, their designs are very human, and what better way than making your constructs feel more human than flirting with them, getting them gifts, buying them new outfits, gaslighting them into fighting better by surgically injecting memories of past fallen heroes to make them perform in ways they never thought possible, or sticking all of them in a dormitory and forcing them to interact with one another, whether they like each other or not. You can even get your favorite constructs to love you permanently, no matter how many horrors beyond human comprehension you make them fight. I think Punishing Grey Raven is also in the top 5 gacha games in which they will throw more constructs at you than African warlord slave trading tribes do in their spare time for fun. There are actually several gachas, 1 for your depressed waifus and husbandos, 2 for your specialized weapons used to cause mass destruction, and 3 individual pets made specifically for each limited character. Why is it important that they need pets? Who knows, something about keeping their sanity and making it easier to murder people. Do you also remember in my Arknights video where I explained you must gain thousands upon thousands of sanity in order to be able to never become a mentally discombobulated human being? Well, we have this little thing called serum in Punishing Grey Raven that can assist in staving off the punishing virus. Make sure you gain thousands. After all, how else are you supposed to keep yourself alive as you proceed to drink red tide fluid directly from the ass of your favorite Ascendant? But Ragashu, what is an Ascendant? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ascendants are constructs or other machines that contracted the punishing virus but didn't end up turning into worse victims than the T-virus in Resident Evil. They pass through a convoluted and complicated process called the filtering and can now hone the powers of the virus to their liking. That is, until the punishing virus gets tired of them and proceeds to try and kill them again. Speaking of Ascendants, it also has one of my favorite characters across all of Gacha. Alpha. There may be other characters that will be more fun in the future, but they won't be able to surpass my love for this character. I'm willing to swim across a sea of red tide, murder several hetero creatures with my raw, bare hands, just to be able to have 5 seconds at being able to get a whiff of those glorious, glorious holes. Punishing Grey Raven has a combat system that is completely randomized nonsense for most characters. You will be playing this color matching game as you are trying your very best to kill the HP inflated enemies before they try and eviscerate you and take your brainstem. You have to match 3 of the same colors and symbols in order to make your moves the strongest possible. Some characters, however, like Gen 3 characters, have more comprehensive ways to combo with guaranteed colored pings to make combat more predictable, or like other units, like my favorite, most beloved character in all of Gacha gaming, Crimson Weave, where the pings are separated between 2 fighting stances. There's also the fact I literally want to consume, lick, and swallow everything that could possibly come out of this infected robotic woman's body. Navigating through the UI in this game is like navigating the Bermuda Triangle after receiving a lobotomy, while you're high off drugs. But there's a variety of different modes you can find yourself doing, like Warzone, or the Phantom Pain Cage, or the Phantom Pain Cage, or the Phantom Pain Cage, or just another version of the Phantom Pain Cage. There's also the story mode, in which you will be warring against heterosexuals with your strange group of neurodivergent constructs, one of which you will be marrying. Now, do be warned, there's probably more death and destruction in this story that would give other non-gacha games a run for its money, but the amount of death still pales in comparison to Limbus Company. That's right, I've been playing Limbus Company again after I initially quit it a few months ago and torched it to death because I found it boring, and so now you will have to deal with me making an entirely correct, comprehensive guide on Limbus Company because I'm really starting to like it again. Will it be accurate like my Arknights guide? Will it be lunacy-inducing like this PGR guide? You will never know. But anyways, there's plenty of other things I can talk about when it comes to Punishing Gray Raven, but I'll be honest, I simply just don't feel like getting into it. Punishing Gray Raven is definitely one of my favorite gacha games that I have played, and I don't really sit down and play gacha games for extended periods of time unless I'm playing with friends. I've been Ragashu, and I hope that you've all enjoyed this video. These are the kinds of videos I'll be making a lot of, so spread the love and look forward to it, so subscribe for more bullshit. Once again, I've been Ragashu, and I hope you all take care, and peace.